What's up, everyone? Welcome to Breaking Tables. I'm your host, Alex, and today we've got a big show. We're going to talk about some news that broke earlier today. Jaylen Waddle is now a Denver Bronco. We're also going to be getting to some lesser news later in this video, but first, obviously, Waddle to the Broncos. The Broncos gave up a first rounder, that's pick 30, a third rounder, and a fourth in exchange for Jaylen Waddle and a fourth round pick. So that's a little pick swap in round 4. Give up pick 30 and a third in exchange for a wide receiver 1. Not that you didn't already have one in Courtland Sutton coming off a 1,000-yard year. This is just a great wide receiver room for Denver. So dynamic, so athletic. Now you have Waddle. You have Courtland Sutton on the boundary, big physical guy, veteran. Then you have Troy Franklin entering his third year, a very dynamic, fast receiver. And then you have Pat Bryant entering his second year, a promising receiver, showed some flashes. And lastly, Marvin Mims, finally healthy, entering that fourth year. Jaylen Waddle's coming off a pretty productive season with 64 receptions, 910 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Let's not forget, he broke the rookie reception record with 104 receptions in 2021, and over his 5 years in the NFL, he has over 5,000 receiving yards. Denver, you're getting a baller. I've already talked about this in a previous video, but I really wanted Buffalo to go after a guy like Waddle. There were some negotiations that took place right before the deadline last year, but Brandon Beane was a little too stingy. He didn't want to give away his 2026 first and instead offered the 2026 third and a 2027 first. That wasn't enough to move the needle, and now Denver lands him. And for Miami, I'm not really sure what direction they're taking at the wide receiver position. They have pick 11 and pick 30, so surely they could pick someone in the draft, maybe an Omar Cooper out of Indiana at pick 30. But in the meantime, you have Jalen Tolbert, who you just signed, on the outside, and then you have Malik Washington as your slot receiver. An explosive athlete should definitely take on a bigger workload this year, obviously, but I'm just not sure if that's enough for Malik Willis to thrive. Tolbert obviously has a relationship with Willis. They were great in the Senior Bowl together, but you're really going to have to add one more guy to this offense. The Dolphins face over $175 million in dead cap this season. Moving on from Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, now Jaylen Waddle, Bradley Chubb, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, just to name a few. Obviously, you're cleaning house. You brought in Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan from the Packers organization as your head coach and GM, but I don't know if moving on from Waddle was necessary. Sure, you got a first and a third, but you already had pick 11. I just don't know if Waddle was the guy to move on from. Tua, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb, that all makes sense. But maybe Waddle could have stayed as a Miami Dolphin. Nonetheless, the move was made. Denver gets their guy. In other news, but sticking with the wide receiver position, the Philadelphia Eagles signed Marquise Brown to a 1-year, $6.5 million deal, adding to the wide receiver position. Now, your notable receivers are A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Hollywood Brown. I don't know if that's enough to sound the alarm and trade A.J. Brown immediately, but it definitely paves a way. Obviously, re-signing Dallas Goedert now enables Philly to trade A.J. Brown with all their dead cap situation, but I just don't know. If you trade A.J. Brown, you're kind of short-staffed. You have Devontae Smith and Hollywood Brown. I don't know if that moves the needle. For a guy like Jalen Hurts, I think he needs his weapons on the outside to succeed. Next, here's a move I really like. The Houston Texans are signing Wyatt Teller, former Cleveland Brown, former Buffalo Bill. Unfortunately, they traded him like he was some backup, and Cleveland turned him into a star. But Houston has him now, signing him to a 2-year deal worth $16 million, worth up to $23. I love what they're doing with their offensive line. You re-sign Trent Brown, your tackle. You add your other tackle in Braden Smith, former Colt. Then you bring in Evan Brown, a guard center. He'll probably play center for the Texans. And you re-sign Ingram, a good guard. And now you bring in Wyatt Teller, another good guard. That's a pretty good offensive line rebuild. Similar to Cleveland, how they've completely rebuilded their offensive line. I really like to see that. It's kind of impressive doing that all in one offseason. And let's not forget, you still have Ariante Ursary and Blake Fisher, your tackles, Ursary entering his second year and Fisher entering his third year. And next up, we've got Cam Taylor-Britt signing with the Indianapolis Colts on a 1-year deal. He's got 7 interceptions over the 4 years he's played in the NFL. He's a very physical player and a good tackler. And last but not least, after losing Isaiah Likely to the New York Giants and John Harbaugh, the Baltimore Ravens are bringing in tight end David Njoku in for a visit. I like the fit. He'd be behind Mark Andrews. That's a pretty nice tight end duo. And that's all I have for you guys today. Jaylen Waddle is officially a Denver Bronco. Keep an eye out for that Bo Nix breakout year. He should tear it up. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to comment. I'll see you guys soon. Take care, and go Bills.